everybody, and welcome to the FFL Solidity podcast. Super excited to be on today, episode 19, with a very, very special guest, somebody super near and dear to my heart. We have Miss Gianna Sipala with us today. Gianna, how's your day going so far?
Hey, I'm having a good day, Marisa. Thank you for asking. I'm just really happy to be here on the podcast today with you.
Well, hey, we're super excited to have you and really just able to kind of go through your experience, since you've been here with us at Family First Life, Gianna. And you've been with us for about how long now?
About 6 months now.
About 6 months, and you just went full-time about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so if you don't mind, before we jump into the nitty-gritty, so to say, tell us a little bit about your background, what you were doing before Family First Life, if you were working in the industry, and kind of how you found the industry, so to say.
Okay. So prior to signing on with FFL, I was working in the medical field full-time. So I was in the medical field for about 10 years. And essentially how I heard about FFL was through you, actually. So that was pretty recent in the last couple years. I've been following you when you signed on FFL and just seeing how amazing that you were doing. And it just kind of caught my eye because I know in your practice company you had mentioned the industry to me before, and it sounded like something I was definitely interested in. However, at the time, it just wasn't the right time and place for me. I couldn't figure out how to pay for my course at that time because, it wasn't free, then, right?
Right.
So I was living paycheck to paycheck pretty much as a medical assistant. So things were really hard. It's stressful even to even kind of, take time off and learn something new and get into that. So kind of fast forward to the last 6 months or even longer than that, actually. I want to say maybe 9 months, you kind of set me off. I was like, hey, I'm interested. I want to get back into this, revisit it. And Christina and you had sent me off the course. You're like, hey, we'll pay for your course. So I thought that was amazing that they'll take care of that for you. So I studied for the course and, with time, I, signed up for my exams. Didn't tell anybody I was taking my test. I was super nervous. Ended up, passing the first time around, and then I shot a bunch of text messages. I'm like, "Hey, I passed," and you guys were like, "I had no idea that you even were, applied for it." So you guys congratulated me, and then shortly after that, got me contracted and started part time.
Absolutely, and that's one of my favorite stories, I must say, Gianna, because like you said, you hadn't told me at that time that that's what was going on, financially, so to say. And I wasn't really confused. I was just like, hey, it's maybe not, her time, right? Wasn't always my time, that's for sure. But really what I think is important to kind of highlight within that story is, like you said, you just went and took your exam. We had no idea. I wasn't pressuring you. I was just kind of like, hey, whenever she's good to go, she's good to go. And then you literally just like, hey, I passed my exam. I'm ready to start. And I'm like, damn, 4 years later. But really, what that's taught me though is, hey, the right things are going to work out in the right time, right?
Exactly.
So just really excited to have you here now full time. And just to kind of talk a little bit about that for people who are out there who maybe are part-time and they're working on a restricted schedule, right? What would you say are, some things that were helpful for you to remember while you were working here just part-time?
So, definitely keep it 100 with your employer. Let them know that, you're starting something new, and get a set schedule. I told them that, Thursdays and Fridays were completely off the table. I could work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it was super important to me to have that structure, just every week be consistent on my schedule here at FFL, whether it was dial day on Thursday in the office, dialing with the team, live dials with everybody else, just staying connected that way, and just kind of kept it moving from there.
Absolutely. And that's huge because it's we want to make sure that when you come in, you're able to basically work yourself out of that job, right? And Gianna, you've been able to do that, and not everybody is, right? Oftentimes it's a lot of excuses my work schedule changed, or I couldn't dial this week. You showed up each and every weekend and you made sure you got it done. And I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. There was one weekend you had COVID, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't go on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you were panicking because you're like, hey, I don't want you to think I'm making excuses. And I'm like, Gianna, you got COVID, bro, and you're in the medical field. Like, you know better than me. You can't go in. So it just showed your dedication right on the front end, and that just says a lot about you. And now, like, kind of transitioning in terms of the mindset of a full-time, what made you say, you know what, not only can I do this part-time, but I can do this full-time and make sure that, I'm providing for myself, for my family.
Yeah, so it came to a point where, things were going really good with business here. And I was looking at my medical job as like my side gig and like this as like the real deal. So it's kind of like I had to say to myself, like, it came to a point where it doesn't make sense financially. It's not making sense. It's not good use of my time, because I can be dialing on the phones. I can meeting with families. I was having clients call me on like Mondays and Tuesdays when I was on like a strict like 9 to 5 schedule. And it's like, when do I get back to them? When do I get back to the insurance carrier? So, that essentially was a lot to manage and juggle for a while. So that was really important to me to, put my clients first and, this industry just in the forefront of my mind, because I was thinking about it day in and day out when I wasn't here. So that really wanted me to go full time and just, get started there.
I love that, because essentially, you talk about how you started off, in that part-time, basis, and you looked at this, hey, I'm going to do FFL part-time. And then it sounds like once you started working at FFL and you were helping families and you were seeing that income coming in, you looked at that as your primary source of income, and you looked at your medical job as your part-time or your side gig. So it almost changed mentally for you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool to see. And me and Gianna have been best friends, since we've known each other since we were 2 or 3 years old?
Yep, 3 years old.
We were born like 2 days apart. So, we truly, this is someone who's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's important, to say too, like, Gianna, how important do you think it is to communicate with your upline when you are having issues, like whether it be with your client or how do I handle this situation? Like, how important is it, like, even if I wasn't, your friend at all, like, and you didn't know me, how important is it for to reach out?
Oh, it is like extremely important to reach out. In this business, there's so much to learn just by going out and being in the field and running into different situations and scenarios, and to just bounce something off of somebody else who's been in the industry longer than you, who's been, producing at such a high level, what they would do in that situation or what feedback they can give you so you can go into the next home and not do the same mistake, or just carry that with just the situation better.
Absolutely. So you're constantly reaching out and making sure, like you said, in each and every home, I still learn something new, right? So super important there. And then Gianna, I did just want to really kind of touch on, if you can bring yourself back to being a brand new agent, right? And you would say, I really wish that I had done X sooner. What would it be for you?
So probably no surprise to you. I feel like it would be to start full-time sooner. That would just be like, as a new agent, putting in half the time, half the work, part-time. It's really hard to like get into like a swing of things, because you're focusing on half the time doing something and then the other half not doing that something. So it's really important to me, like, just to stay connected, continue to, use your upline and like stay into trainings as well, just to kind of keep that, momentum going. So I would have just signed on full time a lot sooner than I originally did.
Hey, that's completely fair. And, Gianna, I think it's important also to note that, you looked at your schedule, right? Because you were dialing on Thursday, running Friday, Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So almost a half a week, right? So I think it's important to note the way that you looked at that, right? You looked at that like, I'm working 2 weeks at Family First Life within the month, right? Mm-hmm. So we always talked about, hey, you have to look at it on a half of month basis, right? In terms of your production, right? That's right. And that was you were never confused about that. You're like, yeah, got it, like fully got it. So when you came in now full-time, just a week ago, or 2 weeks ago rather, how many families have you helped both weeks?
So both weeks I was able to help 8 families each week.
Okay, awesome. And there's no surprise to that. And then in terms of just kind of like getting started, getting out there, what are some tips you would give for like activity in terms of the phones? like what phone activity or additional income producing activity could folks out there who maybe they're not getting all their appointments set up, or maybe they're having a hard time, getting that proper activity in to make sure the appointment count is there?
Okay, so I would definitely recommend like taking full use of your dial time. So don't plan on like long breaks on Thursdays. Make sure that you're like sitting down in a quiet area, however you need to work, and just like dialing those phones as you need to. And it also, like in the field, if you get like no-showed, pick up that phone, pick up your leads, start dialing on those as well, just to keep that activity high, and make sure if you're not booking a full schedule on dial day, that you're also picking up the phones during the field if you get no-showed or you have some downtime to try to book that appointment for the next day.
Awesome. I love that. And that's really important, because it's like when we get no-show, we have one of two choices. I always talk about it. We can go to the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, or we can get some activity in there, right? Whether that be the phones, that be some door knocks, live transfers, whatever it might be, right? So that's really important. And then in terms of door knocking, talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you, Gianna, because you have like I don't want to call it a unique method, but you just throw an extra jab in there. And I love it. I think it's important. It could be a great tool for others to use.
So if I have like a gap in my schedule, I'll go through my door knocks and make sure that I have door knocks set up for at least every field day that I'm in. So if I have maybe like 7 or 5 homes in that area, I'll put them all together and try to door knock them if I can, if I have time in between appointments. So it's funny, like I think my first weekend door knocking, I actually went in like right in the home and was able to like close that appointment just by knocking on the door and going right in. So it works. Door knocking is definitely something to implement into your days.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great story. And it's one of many, right? Door knocking, just like picking the phone up for the first time. It's the first time that you're doing something, right? So it's intimidating. And then your first time, you went in, they're like, hey, come on in. And you were able to help that family, which is great. Now, Gianna, let's just say you're door knocking and that person doesn't come to the door. They're not home. What do you do then?
Oh, I have these sticky notes that I leave on their door. And they're usually the return response is actually pretty huge, because they're like interested. They want to know like, why this person leave this on the door? Like, what are they delivering for me? And they'll always call me back. Probably I want to say like 75-80% of the time, if not higher, that they're calling me back and trying to figure out when I can come back and get this information out to them.
I love that. I think it just speaks volumes of it's true in the regard of like when you're willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do, like you're going to win, right? And we hear that all the time, and it's really cliche, but it's like these are prime examples of it. It's like insert example, right? And on that slip, I think it's pretty cool, Gianna, because Gianna made her own little door knocker slip, and basically it looks like you missed a package, right? And then you just leave your information. They call you back because they're like, what's this yellow slip on my door, right? So that's beautiful, because like you said, you're able to reach that person, and it's all about contact, right? It's about how many times can we talk to people? How many people can we talk to, right? To be able to get in front of more people. So you're up in your contact when you're doing that with the sticky note and leaving it on the door. So I love that. And then when you got started, Gianna, did you have almost like a mental block with leads, or was that something that you felt like, hey, I'm coming in, I fully understand why buying leads makes sense?
I always understood why buying leads makes sense. As far as like having a mental block, like I like to reach up to my upline just to make sure like I'm well prepared for my next style day and I'm putting in the best lead order that I can. So sometimes I'll run it by you before I make that order. So as far as a mental block, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, hey, what would Marisa do, and which way should I best prepare for my dial day?
So now you're getting those leads, you're spending that $500 to $1,000 on each lead order, and you're seeing a great return at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm excited to see, what the rest of this month holds. We're at January 19th today. So, we're not even through the whole month of January. So I'm just really excited to see how you finish up. One other thing I did want to ask you, Gianna, you talked a little bit about your environment, right? You mentioned, you're here on dial days, which even when you were part-time, you were here each and every Thursday. How important do you think that is for a new agent? Even if you have somebody who's like, well, I live by myself and, I won't be distracted. I can get it done upstairs. What makes you come to the office?
Well, environment definitely is going to dictate your activity. I feel at the end of the day, if I was home versus being in the office, my activity wouldn't be as high. I wouldn't be as focused. I wouldn't be, if I have questions, I'm able to, come right, over to the next office over, ask questions, implement that right away instead of, go into my fridge or, like cleaning up or, doing other things that's not protecting my dial time, essentially. So coming in the office is super important for me to just keep producing at this high level activity.
Absolutely. And I think that that's huge because I know that even for me, like when I first came into FFL and we didn't have our office here in Mass, I used to drive out to Connecticut and it was about 3.5 hours, but I never mind doing it because once I got there, my job was done. It was like, get to Connecticut, check, everything's done, right? Because you know that you're going to be in a good environment and you're going to get what you need to get done for sure. So I love that. And then in terms of even like dial team calls, things like that, like you're always showing up. Like what's your biggest reason for showing up to those types of things?
So my biggest reason for showing up to those things is I'm always learning from other people, taking what they use in their, telephone scripts and then implementing it in mine. Because, everybody's not saying the same things on the phones. So it's really cool to just being able to jump into the dial team, hear other people, close, hearing other people book appointments, and then just being able to take little bits of everybody else's scripts and putting it into mine.
Absolutely. And I think that that's what it's about, right? It's like, this is a copycat business. The best copycat's going to win at the highest level, right? So I love that. And Gianna, you stay plugged into everything. You're always on the dial team. You're always in the office. You're always basically in what's next, right? And how important was it for you this year to be going to annual convention?
Oh, super important. I'm so excited to go to annual convention this year. Just really, really, really excited. I feel like I already have my bags packed.
I love that. And, what are some of the things that you're hoping that you can learn or take away from there, just generally speaking?
I just definitely want to take away some valuable information on just questions that I may have about, building a business or just keeping up with high activity and just taking little bits from other people that I wouldn't have necessarily been able to meet if it wasn't for annual convention.
Awesome. I love that because that's what it's about. It's about socializing. It's about learning. It's about doing it for you, right? People ask me, why do I go to annual convention? Hey, I love my team, but I go for me, right? Like I go because I have to get my nuggets too to make sure that I'm growing and learning and developing as a person as well. And Gianna, just to before we close the call out here in a minute, I do want to wrap up with, because I know you well enough to know that your mindset is extremely strong. There's not a lot of things that are gonna shake you. And I think that that's really, it's a great quality that not everybody has, unfortunately. But fortunately, you do have it. What are some things that you do to maybe stay mentally clear or to help yourself if you feel like maybe like you're not, mentally, cleared, so to say? Because high highs and low lows in this business can feel really bad. So you stay nice and leveled out.
Right. So definitely take that time to listen to your body, listen to your mind, meditate, just take a minute if you need to. For sure, just definitely if you need 5 minutes after, on a dial day where, you're not hitting the phone so hard, maybe you just need 5 minutes to reset and then, go back into it again. So just stop, reset, know when you need that 5-minute break, allow yourself to have that, and mostly just make sure that you're keeping on top of your health.
I love that. I think it's just really important because, sometimes in this business, it's like go, 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 which is important, right? Because if we're not go, 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 going, we're not going to build momentum like you talked about in the beginning, right? Now a lot more momentum's building because, you're here, this is your full-time, this is your business now, which is exciting. But, being able to keep your mind clear of, hey, and being able to more so stay in touch with your body. I think that you do a great job of that, of just being like, hey, I know, I need 5 minutes. Because some people don't know when they need 5 minutes, right? They're freaking out. And it's like, hey, sometimes we got to just chill for 2 minutes, and then it will change the whole game, right?
Yep.
But we can definitely make it a lot more difficult than that. So you just try to listen to your body, see what your body's saying, take a few minutes wherever you need it,
Right.
and make sure you can readjust, your head with your heart, so to say.
Yeah, and like don't take anything personal.
That's huge too.
Yeah.
I love that. Don't take anything personal. You just can't in this business.
No.
You just can't, right?
No.
If we took things personal, I think we probably we both wouldn't be sitting here right now. That's for sure, right?
Right.
Awesome. Well, Gianna, you've been crushing it since you came in. I remember your first full month when you were part-time. You helped about 12 families, and you've been doing just about that, a little bit more, again, on a very part-time basis. Now being full-time and, helping, 8 families each and every week, what is your goal to be writing each and every month kind of moving forward?
So my goal moving forward is at least to help at least minimum like 20 families a month, if not higher.
Okay, well, hey, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to be helping well over 20 families a month because you helped 16 in just 2. So, hey, don't sell yourself short. All right, and then Gianna, last thing before we hop off, being in the business, being almost a rookie, so to say, in your first year, which is super exciting. Any other advice that you'd want to leave with a new agent, an agent coming in, or an agent maybe just even looking at the business?
So definitely just jump right into it. Like if you're interested, just do everything that you can to reach out to people who are doing, are in this business, and figure out like what they're doing, ask them great questions, and then see if this is a right fit for you.
I love that. And that's exactly what you have to do. Like Gianna said, if you're going to jump in, don't put a toe in the water, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, other than that, Gianna, thank you so much for being on. I'm super excited to be in business, not only with an amazing person, but a great friend, somebody near and dear to my heart, basically my family member. So super excited to see what's in store for you in 2023. And I know it's going to be an amazing year. All right. And now, Gianna, if anyone's looking to work with you, get started. I know you're building your business. You're going to help a ton of agents get up and going this year, and it's going to be amazing. If somebody is wanting to work with Family First Life, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
So you can get in touch with me by reaching out to me on Facebook. My name is Gianna Sipala, or you can contact me at 781-808-6012.
Awesome. And guys, if you're looking for somebody to work with that hustles, that works hard, that can be, a running buddy with you, Gianna's your girl because she's always up for a challenge, that's for sure, and she always completes that challenge. So the competitive nature and just the ability to love on people at the same time, Gianna, just makes you that much more of a beautiful person. All right, but just to close out, I just want to thank you so much for being on with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Gianna, thank you so much for being on. Love you.
Love you too.